Hello everyone, I hope your day is going well and welcome to this episode of Cranbersher's Guide. Last episode we went over the mechanics of lip sync and how to line up mouth poses to the vocal audio from a recording. And today we'll delve into the depths of the monster known as the walk cycle. Viewer discretion is advised. Not really. It's just walk cycle, calm your toenails. Okay, so first let's go over what a walk actually is. Yeah, it's a thing people and other things do to get from point A to point B, but what does the body actually do to walk? Well, in a sense, a walk is basically a controlled fall. You shift the weight of your torso forward, and at a certain point your leg comes forward to catch you. And as you keep moving forward, your legs keep catching you one after the other, and if you stop catching yourself with your legs, well, you might have to apologize to your face. So that's the deal with your legs when you walk. Now your arms generally counterbalance the movement of your legs. For example, your right arm swings forward when your right leg is back, it swings back when your right leg is forward, and vice versa. The shoulders also copy this balancing movement, but quite a bit more subtly. To animate this, it helps to think of the action of walking as a bunch of small movements happening all at once at certain times. Sound familiar? Well, it should. Okay, now with that knowledge in mind, let's plan out our walk before we even start animating with our puppet. This means drawn animation time. You weren't expecting that, were you? You were? Well, aren't you special? Now you don't really need to draw this out yourself unless you really want to, or you do draw an animation also. But regardless, this is just to show what we're trying to accomplish on certain frames in the final product. For example purposes, we're going to have our action be 12 frames per step. So each step is half a second. We're not doing anything fancy here, this is just a basic walk, so you can change up what you want when you're actually doing yours, okay? Cool, alright. So to start, we're going to need our starting frame and our ending frame, showing the full length of the step. These will be frame 1 and frame 13. If you're wondering why the heck this is frame 13, when I just said there's going to be 12 frames, it's because this is technically the start of the second step, so it's like 12 frames plus 1. Get it? Okay, good. Now, things to note about these frames. This is going to be the farthest the feet will be apart from each other. The front leg is almost completely straight, with the toe up and the heel in contact with the ground. And the back leg is slightly bent at the knee, with the heel up and the toe in contact with the ground. Oh, if you're using a puppet made from this series, then you might not need all this heel-toe stuff right away, but you know, keep it in mind for later when you do a different one. Anyway, that's frame 1. And then frame 13 is the exact same, but with the leg switched. And what's gonna happen is, the leg in the back is gonna become the leg in the front. Cause that's how walks work. So what we gotta do is split the action into a bunch of sections until we get that back foot smoothly to the front. Starting by cutting down the middle with frame 7, which is a passing frame. The stepping leg is now essentially vertical, foot firmly planted, and the leg coming forward is bent much more now, and, you know, since the toe isn't squished into the ground anymore, it looks like this now. And after that, we split it up even more, and add in frames 4 and 10. Frame 4 is the first frame, at least in this example, where the stepping foot plants itself flat into the ground, and the leg is slightly bent at the knee from the impact. The other leg is coming forward, and the knee is beginning to bend so the foot doesn't drag on the dang ground. Frame 10 is kind of the point where the passing leg is generally highest, like thigh-wise, but since we're coming into land on that next step, the knee is beginning to straighten out and the toe is starting to come up. And now the stepping leg is in the back, knee starting to bend and the heel coming up. So what we've got so far looks something like this. Now, before we continue, there's another thing to cover that you might have noticed. The torso. When someone walks, they generally have some form of up and down movement, seeing as the knees are bending and straightening at different points and people's bones don't usually shrink and grow at will. Unless yours do. Do they? If we look at frames 1 and 13 being the midpoint of the up and down, then frames 4 and 10 are generally the lowest and highest points respectively, with frame 7 landing a bit above the midpoint. Usually. Alright, that's the big stuff out of the way. I would say that these 4 frames are probably the most important ones when planning out a walk cycle, and hey, if we were animating at 8 frames per second, you'd be all set. But guess what? That's not how we roll around here. When you're counting up your numbers, you don't go 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, you're missing so many numbers! You gotta fill those suckers in! There are going to be 2 frames in between each keyframe, and for the most part they're just carrying the action more smoothly from one keyframe to the next. There are little accents you could add like head bobs or back arches or foot drags or toe flops, but that's really up to you to mess around with. I ain't giving you all the answers. But I will tell you that in order to do a second step, you just kind of repeat everything with the other leg, so there you go. Wait. Something's not looking right. There's something missing here. Oh yeah, arms! So like I said before, the arms counterbalance the movement of the legs. So on frames 1 and 13, they are as far forward and back as they're going to be generally, and they're following the movement of the leg on the opposite side. Now, are you ready? Because this is where it gets super complicated. They just kind of sway, back and forth. It's not too bad. It's actually, it's pretty okay. Yeah. Okay, now that that's all out of the way and assuming you're not dead yet, it's time to translate that into stop motion. Now the main difference between a walk in 2D and a walk in stop motion is, that whole gravity thing, because unless you're some kind of magic man, you're gonna have a hard time keeping your puppet upright. Which is why, if you remember, we added those well nuts to the feet of the puppet to tie it down into our work table with screws. Also, yes, I know magnets exist, but screws are more reliable, so that's what this is about, okay? Jeez. So first of all, you need to drill holes into your table, each one stride distance from one another. In this case, I'd say it's better for the distance to be a bit undershot than overshot. You don't want to stretch these puppies' legs too much because, you might break them and it's not like they grow on trees. Once that's all out of the way, go ahead and animate it using the stuff we went over. Keep in mind that each foot screw will be switched either on frame 3 or frame 4 of the walk, meaning that the back foot will be unscrewed and the front foot will be tied down. Try this out a few times, making adjustments each time to see what looks better and maybe adding little accents like a head bob or something similar. Speaking of adding accents to a walk, there's another thing a walk can do besides get you from point A to point B, and that's convey personality or emotion. Wow! So going back to that first stop motion walk, our puppy here is looking relatively normal, nothing all that special going on. But if we wanted to make him look all goofy, we could loosen him up a bit by using all that wiggle and drag stuff on parts like his back, head, arms, and even his feet a little bit. On the contrary though, a more collected, confident walk would have little to no wibbliness, as you see here. The puppet's head is held high, his back is straight, and he's got those high elbows and high knees. You can tell that that's the puppet who knows what he wants and he's going to go get it. And finally, you may have noticed that when I was going over the 2D animation portion of this guide, that I was focusing only on the side view of a walk. Well, that's gonna change, because now we're gonna go over the sass. So, when adding sass to a walk, most of the up and down movement is transferred to the side-to-side rotating movement of the hips, since the act of the hips rotating deals with the changing leg height on its own. The more exaggerated the hip movement, the less the puppet will move up and down, and of course, as with all other factors like the arms to the legs, the shoulders tend to counterbalance the hips, although it's probably a bit more subtle than the example shown here. Another note with this kind of walk is that the steps tend to be closer together, one in front of the other, kind of like a tightrope, rather than the foot just coming forward with a basic walk. Alright, that's all the mechanics about the sass. Now let's go over a bit about the timing. Generally, the weight of the hips switches when the foot in front is firmly planted on the ground, causing a few frames of a pop when the hips compensate for the weight shift. Then they'll slowly go out a bit and then back in again, and then they'll do the next pop, and so on. The side the hip rotates to will correspond with the foot currently stepping, so keep that in mind or you might get a pretty unique walk. But I mean, hey, maybe you want that. Oh, also guess what? This hip moving stuff actually relates back to the basic walk too, just not as obviously. Goofed ya! It's not really a goof, but it's something to keep in mind. It's important. Still mess around with your walks to figure stuff out for yourself and stuff though. Yeah. Alright, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye bye. Well, that's another one. Yeah, took you long enough. What? Oh, nothing. I liked it. You did a good job explaining. Oh, thank you. Hey, you really seem to have cheered up since you first showed yourself. Well, I'm trying my best. Alright, well, I'm gonna get started on the next guide. You cool to hang out here? Yeah, I'll probably just relax for a bit. You do your thing. Okay, I'll be around. See ya. Take care. Hey! had your time. Now leave. No, I'm sorry, please! No! Excuse me? What the hell is this?